Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Brinda Devi Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Brinda Devi.
Jai Ram Madhuma Kunya Bihari Jai Radha Madhuma Kunya Bihari Gopi Janabalava Giri Varadhari Gopi Janabalava Giri Varadhari Yasudanandana Raja Janurandana Yasudanandana Raja Janurandana Jammu Tera mana jagate. Yamuna Tera mana jagate. Jayaranto Madhava Kunyabihagude. Joyu Ranamadhova Kunyabihagude. Opi Janabalaba Ire Badatari Opi Janabalaba Ire Badatari Yasuranan Nanabraja Janaran Jana Yasuranan Nanabraja Janaran Jana Jamuna Tera Manachare Yamuna Tera Manachare Jayaranhu Madhava Kunyabihagute Joyurad Madhava Kunyabihagute Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravidikacharya also Teta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chalalala Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Adanta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Say Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidway Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopidan Sayama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturadam Ki Jai Jagadada Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Srimati Lasadevi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya, Putale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami, Namani Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gaurvani Pachani, Nivashesha, Shunyavadi Paschati Shatari. So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, 54th Chapter, text 58. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're going to read 58, 59, 60. That's the end of the chapter, and we'll speak. So, Kuru Srinjaya Kaikeya, Vidarbha, Yadu, Kuntiya, Mito, Mamudire, Tasmin, Sambramat, Paridavatam, Kurushanjaya Kaikeya, Vidarbha Yadu Kuntiya, Mito Mumudire Tasmin, Sambramat Paridavatam, Kurushanjaya Kaikeya, Vidarbha Yadu Kuntiya, Mito Mumudire Tasmin, Sambramat Paridavatam, Kurushanjaya Kaikeya, Vidarbha Yadu Kuntiya, Mito Mumudire Tasmin, Sambramat Paridavatam. Okay. Keya. Kavatam. Keya. Okay. Kurushanjaya Kaike Vidarbha Yadu Kuntiya. Of the members of Kuru, Jaya, Kaikeya, Vidarbha, Yadu and Kunti clans, Mita with one another. Mumudire, they took pleasure. Tasmin, in that festivity. Sambramat, out of excitement. Paridavatam, among those who were running about. So, translation. Those who belonged to the royal families of the Kuru, Sanjaya, Kaikeya, Vidarbha, Yadu, and Kunti clans joyfully met one another in the midst of the crowds of people excitedly running here and there. So you can repeat. Those who belonged to the royal families of the Kuru, Shinjaya, Kaikeya, Vidarbha, Yadu, and Kunti clans joyfully met one another in the midst of the crowds of people excitedly running here and there. So there's no purport by the followers of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, and there's purports by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami. They're interesting. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and basically he says the same thing. We don't need to read his purport. Jiva Goswami says, The kings who were called are described associating with each other. They became joyful. The Kurus include Bhishma, Dhritarashtra, and the Pandavas. The Srinjayas included Drupada. The Kaikyas included Sandardhana. Sandardhana is the son of the sister of Kunti. So, just to give you an idea of who he was. The people of Vidarbha came out of affection for Rukmini. Krishna was acceptable to the kings of Vidarbha because abducting was praised by Kshatriyas, and they had previously approved of Krishna as the groom. Because Balaram had sages invite them and bring them, they did not feel uncomfortable. Bhishmaka also came, and also Krata and Kaishika. So Krata and Kaishika are, just a little bit of information for you, they're the personalities who hosted Krishna when he went to Vidarbha. He stayed at their house, actually, or hosted them in different ways. So they were very good or pure devotees of Krishna. The Yadavas included Ugrasena. Some say that Nanda and others came from Braj since they were also called Yadavas. And it is said in the Padma Purana, this is very interesting information, which we'll be talking about a little later. Nanda Gopata Gopalar Gopa Vrindai Samagata. Swalam Kruta Bir Yoshid Bir Yashoda Cha Samagata. Nanda came along with the cowards, and Yashoda also came with women who were well decorated. After the killing of Kamsa, Krishna had asked Nanda for permission to stay in Mathura with the following intention. Yatin vo drashtam esham al vidaya su vidam sukam. We shall come to see you, our dear relatives, who suffer in separation from us, as soon as we have given some happiness to your well-wishing friends. That's from Bhagavatam 10, 45, 23. So you may ask, this is a little information before I speak more and go into the next verse, but Krishna didn't stay in Mathura. He went to Dwarka. So it's described by the Acharyas that Dwarka is considered to be part of Mathura. So in other words, he still fulfilled that obligation, although he wasn't as close to Vrindavan. Kunti means Kunti Bhoja and his group. People were running here and there, Paridhavatam, for making arrangements for the marriage. And as I said, we're going to read 59 and 60. Rukminya haranam shrutva giyamanam tatastata rajano rajakanyascha babur visha vismita. The kings and their daughters were totally astonished to hear the story of Rukmini's abduction, which was being glorified and sung everywhere. And again, there's no purport by the followers of Srila Prabhupada, but Jiva Goswami and Sanatana Goswami have small commentaries. Rukmini's abduction was sung in the various provinces, tatas tata. Hearing that event, the kings and princesses were most astonished. Because of the method of abduction, the devotees developed longing for the Lord, and the demons experienced fear. And Sanatana Goswami says the abduction was glorified everywhere. And same thing. The kings, and then he adds, the kings also thought that their daughters should be given to Krishna. And finally, text 60. Dwarakayam abud rajan mahamoda puralkasam uminya ramayopetam drisva krishnam shriyapatim. Dwarka's citizens were overjoyed to see Krishna, the Lord of all opulence, united with Rukmini, the goddess of fortune. This is primarily what we're going to be speaking about. Jiva Goswami says, after the marriage, because of seeing the two happy together, all the people of Dwarka became filled with bliss. This is described in this verse. Krishna was Swayam Bhagavan, the husband of the supreme Lakshmi Shriyapati, who was the abode of all wealth. Thus Rukmini was meant for him. At this time, Lakshmi, Ramaya, merged with Rukmini, Also, she is called Rama because she gives pleasure to Krishna. Ah, the most spectacular bliss arose. And the final commentary, Sanatana Goswami. After the marriage, because of seeing the two happy together, all the people of Dwarka became filled with bliss. That is described in this verse. The residents of Dwarka, living there all the time, were constantly close to the Lord and often saw him. Thus they were happy, or they were especially happy because of their special bhakti mahamoda. They saw Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, the husband of Lakshmi. She necessarily depended on him. She had now merged with Rukmini. So we're going to talk about Lakshmi. Thus the joy was very great, mahamoda, since Krishna had achieved happiness through the most suitable wife. O king, the king shone Rajan because of joy on hearing this story, or the great joy was brilliant. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of his divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. To the 10th canto, 54th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Marriage of Krishna and Rukmini. So, Omagana Timidanda Shah, Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur, Unmiditam Yena Tasmai, Shri Gurve Namaha. So, in the Gopal Champu and the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there's actually more information about this particular occasion, because you don't really have it. In the Bhagavatam, you don't find a complete, elaborate description of the marriage ceremony and everything like that. So there's a little bit more elaboration here. So in the Gopal Champu, it's described, the two messengers said, when he received your letter of consent, so this is very interesting. So it's described that Krishna did not immediately get married to Rukmini because he was waiting for the consent of Nanda Maharaj, who came actually. And he was also waiting for the consent of the gopis. So why would the gopis give their consent? And we're going to describe that in a second. So let me continue with the Gopal Champu. Musical instruments were sounded home after home in Shri Krishna's realm of Dwarka. The demigods in Devaloka also played on many musical instruments. The ocean around Dwarka also celebrated with a great festival of crashing waves, each wave trying to outdo the others. So, there's a personality, the ocean personality, and I guess the waves have personalities. It's interesting how everything in Krishna consciousness is personal like that. And actually, Prabhupada said, quoting from the Vedic literatures, that whenever you see these different 6 stages, it indicates life. 6 stages means, there's birth, growth, maintenance, byproducts, dissolution, and finish, like that. So that indicates life. So anyway, even the waves were each trying to outdo the others, or it was a poetic statement. Then in the presence of the Yadu Kunti Kaya Kuru dynasties, and also in the presence of Bhishmaka, the king of Vidarbha, Shri Krishna joyfully accepted the hand of Princess Rukmini in marriage. Braja's king Nanda asked, were the people of Vidarbha also present at that ceremony? The 2 messengers said, they all came. Only King Bhishmaka's sons did not come. Braja's king Nanda said, did not King Bhishmaka feel shy to attend? The 2 messengers said, he was shy. He feared that King Vasudeva and his associates would be hostile to him. He also feared that his own jewel-like daughter, Rukmini, would also be hostile to him. So here's the statement about the gopis giving their approval for the marriage. This is very interesting. You would think that, we don't want Krishna to get married to anyone else. And this is from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. In the Bhagavatamrita, it states, these are the gopis, we can somehow tolerate the great calamity that unforeseen destiny has, alas, placed upon us. In other words, that Krishna has left Vrindavan. Still, we cannot tolerate that this is showing their great love for Krishna. Still, we cannot tolerate that such a blemish a blemish like the dark spots on the moon, a blemish of being responsible for a girl's death would ever pollute Sri Krishna's glorious reputation. So in other words, Sri Rukmini was going to leave her body if she didn't marry Krishna. So the gopis understood this, and because of that, they're more concerned for Krishna's... So they're more concerned for Krishna's reputation than for their own jealousy or desire to be with Krishna. It's amazing. So they gave permission for Krishna to get married to Rukmini. So we hear many stories in the Vedic literatures that of the Lord and his consorts, and there's always some suspense in these stories. There's always some anxiety in these stories. You know, Rukmini and Krishna's stories is not unique. I mean, you find in Sita Ram story, and the Sita Ram story, of course, Sita Devi was kidnapped by Ravan. Of course, we understand it was Maya Sita who was kidnapped by Ravan, but still there's that intense mood of separation, intense anxiety. And then ultimately we find the intensity of emotion comes to a peak when Lord Ram has to send Sita Devi away to the ashram of Valmiki Muni. Also, we find this in, of course, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Of course, Lord Chaitanya himself is in the mood of Lakshmi or Srimati Radharani, always experiencing this intense mood of separation. And then even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in relationship to Lakshmi Priya. Lakshmi Priya is described as Lakshmi. Vishnu Priya is described as Bhudevi. Very interesting. Vishnu Priya, of course, was the second wife of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lakshmi Priya died feeling separation, or at least the snake, which is the personification of the separation, bit her, or it was a snake bite of separation. And whether it's poetic or actually a snake bit her, that's another thing. But she died feeling the separation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in Krishna's pastimes, you have Rukmini, who is Lakshmi Devi, and Satyabhama, who is described by the Acharyas as Bhudevi. So this Lakshmi is Krishna's Shakti. And of course we understand that Srimati Radharani is the Adi Shakti of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom Lakshmi expands. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Adi Leela intro, some of the relationship between the Lord and his energy or his Shakti is described. And I found this quite interesting ontologically. Without energy, there is no meaning to the energetic. In other words, if you say Krishna is the energetic, Shakti Ma, that's his technical word, then there has to be some Shakti. You understand? If there's no Shakti, how can you say there's Shakti Ma? Or how can you say there's the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Because he's never by himself. So without energy, there's no meaning to the energetic. And without energetic, there is no energy. Similarly, without Radha, this is an interesting statement. This is from the introduction in the Adi Leela. Without Radha, there is no meaning to Krishna. Wow. I mean, without Rukmini, there's no... You understand? They're inseparable. I mean, one and different simultaneously, but similarly, without one, there's no meaning of even thinking or a conception of the other. Without Radha, there's no meaning to Krishna. And without Krishna, there's no meaning to Radha. Because of this, the Vaishnava philosophy, first of all, pays obeisances to and worships the internal pleasure potency of the Supreme Lord. Thus, the Lord and his potency are always referred to as Radha Krishna. Similarly, those who worship Narayan, first of all, utter the name of Lakshmi as Lakshmi Narayan. Similarly, those who worship Lord Ram, first of all, utter the name of Sita. In any case, Sita Ram, Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan, the potency always comes first. So, there's some description here glorifying the potency or Lakshmi. This is from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Narada took the liberty to digress from glorifying Lord Narayan to glorify his consort. Now he digresses further into praise of all the Lord's personal energies. Dharani, Bhumi, is Lord Narayan's second wife. There is one original, purely spiritual goddess of fortune, the Lord of Vaikuntha's most beloved, who is always present at his side. His other energies mentioned in Scripture are all expansions of that original Mahalakshmi. And of course, Mahalakshmi comes from Srimati Radharani. Well, actually, there's Srimati Radharani. She expands as Lalita and Vishaka, the other Ashtashakis. And then they expand as the wives of Krishna in Dwarka. And then you have the expansion of Lakshmi. And it's interesting, it's mentioned that the Lakshmi that's worshipped in this world is, of course, she's Lord Narayan's consort, but she manifests herself in a unstable way. Chanchala, she's called. So those who worship the Lakshmi of this world for material benedictions sometimes get those material benedictions and sometimes don't get those material benedictions. So, and then we have Lord Shiva's consort, Durga, is also an expansion of Mahalakshmi. And so are Durga's multiple expansions with their various forms and names. The terrible goddess, Chamunda, the wife of Lord Shiva's frightful expansion, Bhairava, is also an incarnation of Lakshmi, the personal energy of the Supreme Lord. And some more statements. This is Brihad Bhagavatamrita goes into the ontology of Lakshmi. And Lakshmi is sometimes called by such various terms as Maha, Vibhuti, Yoga, and Yogamaya. And the commentary, it says, these words describe the goddess Lakshmi according to her various identities and activities. In addition to these terms, she is sometimes called Prakriti, Shakti, and so on. In the Mahasamhita, there's more description of Lakshmi. She has different names, Shri, Bhu, that's Lakshmi, Bhudevi, and Durga, which respectively indicate the Supreme Soul's energy for manifesting the jivas, his personal energy of desire, and his energy of the material modes that constitute inert matter. Some more descriptions. Expert knowers of the science of language say that the word Maya refers to the potency of the three material modes to knowledge and to the personal energy of Lord Vishnu. And in the the Skanda Purana, the Skanda Purana, it states, Lakshmi personifies the glorious celebration of existence, knowledge, and bliss. She is eternal, absolutely real, and without beginning or end. And the commentary describes Mahalakshmi as the total energy of the Supreme Truth. It is impossible to describe her completely. She is the mother who gives birth to the varieties of ecstasy that appear during the worship of the Lord. Through her, the Supreme Lord displays his different features. So this is Rukmini. That's in the final commentary today, of course, it describes how Rukmini and Lakshmi are not different. So there's more commentary from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. The previous two verses have described the goddess Lakshmi's primary characteristics as called Swarupa Lakshana. And now this verse describes her secondary characteristics, Tatashta Lakshana. She's the agent who manifests the many varieties of charm and sweetness in the Lord's devotional service. Remember, there's a description of Rukmini. That's why we're talking about Lakshmi. Although the devotees of the Lord are one with him in the sense that they too have purely spiritual identities, both the Lord and his devotees have unique identities. Unique individual qualities. There's some description. I'm going to skip this. It is the Lord's consort Lakshmi who displays all the varieties of the Supreme Person and his devotional service. He is the ultimate truth. One without a second, yet he has innumerable forms. He is both one and many. He has countless varieties of beauty and charm and countless varieties of pastimes, each full of diversity. All of these is forever manifest as substantial reality with the help of the goddess Lakshmi. That's how they're inseparable. Really important. Krishna and Radha, Rukmini, Dwarkadish, Sita, Ram, Lakshmi, Nrsimha. Every single one of the Lord's expansions there's a female counterparty. Except, of course, Mohini Murti is the female manifestation of the Lord. So here's another description of Lakshmi. The Lord has many devotees like Sri Shesha and Garuda. His devotional service has many forms, like hearing and chanting his abode. Sri Vaikunta has a multitude of opulences, and he engages in many different activities. Lakshmi is the energy of the Lord through whom all this variety is manifest. Without her participation, the other energies of the Lord could not be displayed in diversity because they are basically one with him as pure spirit. And a famous verse for the Vishnu Samhita about Lakshmi, Icha Shakti Gira Shakti, Kriya Shakti Iti Srida, Shakti Shakti Matos Chapi, Nabeda Kaschid Ishite. She expands into three energies: the energy of desire, that's Icha Shakti, the energy of knowledge, Jnana Shakti, and the energy of action, called Kriya Shakti. No difference can ever be found between the energy and its possessor. And just two more quotes. When food is offered to Lord Krishna with love and devotion, he is pleased and accepts it from the devotee. Rukmini Devi, the goddess of fortune, becomes so greatly obliged to the devotee that she has to personally go to the devotee's home to turn it into the most opulent home in the world. If one feeds Narayan sumptuously, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, automatically becomes a guest in one's house, which means that one's home becomes opulent. And then finally, this is the final quote, and then we'll take questions. From the Nectar of Devotion. In the Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada quotes, first of all, from the 9:13 in the Bhagavad Gita, which is Mahatmanas Tumam Partha, Daivam Prakriti Mashrita, Vajanjananya Manasho, Yatwa Buddhadam Aviyam. The Mahatmas, the great souls, Mahatmanas Tumam Partha, Daivam Prakritim Ashrita, they're under the shelter of the internal potency of the Lord. Why? Bhajanchananya manaso gatva bhutadam aviyam. Because they are engaged in unceasing worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, I was listening to a class with Srila Prabhupada this morning where he was talking about remembering Krishna. And then Prabhupada gave his famous statement, which he gives in many cases. He says, "What is the difficulty to remember Krishna?" So what is the difficulty? And the devotees were presenting different opposing views. They said, um, quoting from the Bhagavad Gita, Bhogaishvarya prasaktanantaya pratachetasam vyavasyatmaka bodhir samado navatiyate. That one who's interested in Bhoga and Aishvarya, sense enjoyment and opulence in the material world, cannot remember Krishna. So they're actually arguing, arguing with Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is saying that's because they don't want to remember Krishna. If one wants to remember Krishna, what is the difficulty? So the point is one's desire. So anyway, getting back to this particular quote from the Nectar of Devotion, where 913 is quoted. I don't remember, I didn't write that down. But in the above quoted verse from Bhagavad Gita, the words Daivam Prakritim, which means Lakshmi, under the jurisdiction of Lakshmi, Srimati Radharani, refer to the control of the internal potency or pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pleasure potency is manifested as Srimati Radharani, or her expansion Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. When the individual souls, individual jiva souls, are under the control of the internal energy, their only engagement is the satisfaction of Krishna or Vishnu. This is the position of a Mahatma. If one is not a Mahatma, he is a Duratma, or a cripple-minded person. Such mentally crippled Duratmas are put under the control of the Lord's external potency, Mahamaya, which is actually an expansion of Lakshmi Devi in this material world, Mahamaya. So, any questions or comments? Yes. Would it be Krishna? I would say that the Lord's potency is a prakriti, unmanifest, but still there. Still there. Just like you have Radharaman. Everybody knows Radharaman in Vrindavan. There's no Radharani deity, but they have the clothes for Srimati Radharani next to Radharaman. So you cannot have Krishna without his potency, and without his devotees. Like Prabhupada said, Krishna is never alone. I mean, one time there was a devotee who painted a picture or came with some Indian print of Krishna just like up there in the stratosphere, not even stratosphere, outer space, and there's like an Om surrounding him. And Prabhupada did not appreciate that picture because Krishna is always surrounded by his loving devotees. He's never alone. Lord Chaitanya and Gadadhar Pandit Goswami. Gadadhar Pandit Goswami is considered to be an incarnation or avatar, to be more precise, of Srimati Radharani, but Srimati Radharani who is not displaying her right-handed bhav, because Gadadhar Pandit Goswami was in a submissive mood. He never argued with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, any other questions or comments? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Gopiya was Bhushakti, was expansion of Bhushakti. Bhushakti is not the Bhumi who is the goddess of the earth. She's not. Bhumi, who is the goddess of the earth, is an expansion of Bhushakti. So Bhushakti is eternally with the Supreme Personality of God. Yeah, so, oftentimes we say Bhumi. Bhumi, of course, does have some conjugal interaction with the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he appeared as Lord Varaha. That is a fact. But the Bhushakti is the Shakti of the Lord, and that Shakti expands or empowers Bhumi Devi. Okay? Perfect. So all glory to His divine grace, to the Prabhupada.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Dipan Dikayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Namaho Vishnu Pajaya Namaho Vishnu Pajaya Krishna Pajaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste. Tantrati Deve. Kuramani Bacha. Nege Nivesesha. Shunyavane. Machachagote. Sacharinde. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Siva Sati Gaurmati Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Siva Sati Gaurmati Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Siva Sati Gaurmati Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Agude, Hari Ram, Hare, Rama, 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 Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Golokanana, Radha Golokanana, Radha. Jaya Radha Golokanana, Radha Golokanana, Radha. Jaya Radha. Hey, Radhe, 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 Radhe. Hey, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. Jai Om Vishnupad.
Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swat Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayade Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitani amita smaranena kala. Etadrishita vakripa bhagavan mamapi. Dordaiva midrishami hajjani nanuraga. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi suhishuna. Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. Mama janmani janmani ishvare bhavatad bhaktir hoitaki twai. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam buddha. Kripayata vapada pankaja stita duli sadrishim vichintaya. Nayanam gadashu daraya varanam gadgurudaya gira. Pulakarnishitam vapukada tavanama grahane bhavishyati. Yugayatam namishena chakshusha pravashayatam. Shunayatam jagat sarvam govindam virahename. Ashlisha vapadam ritam panastumam. Adarshanam marmahata karotuva. Yatatatava vivadatu lampato. Matprananatastusa eva napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. And thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. And oh, unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand and end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing like torrents of rain, and I am always vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly.